Attention, Earthlings. Y'all done fucked up now. Seriously, though, you guys, happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. It's too bad it doesn't mean what we thought it meant when we were kids, you know? The truth is that nearly everything we believed as children has turned out to be a lie. I was thinking this morning about the real Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati, because they also were founded in 1776. What's going on, Kahame? May 1st. And it had been a while since I thought about it, so I started, refreshing myself on all the stories and whatnot. And it just immediately struck me how literally everything we've been told is the opposite of the truth. You know, the conspiracy theorists are always going on about how the Illuminati are Jesuits. Their mission was to destroy the Jesuits. Literally, they hated Jesuits. They were all young men who sought to enlighten, because believe it or not, every once in a while, there are people that are born that actually either are born in alignment or fall into alignment with truth and reason, and they admire justice. And these young men were disgusted and they were angry that there were forces that sought to keep people enslaved and entranced and subjugated for their own benefit. And so they sought to undermine them by infiltrating their institutions and sabotaging them from within. Before them, the Templars attempted this. This is why, to this day, Friday the 13th is considered such a unlucky, fateful day, because it is the day that the human race lost. The day that the Templars were arrested in 1306 was the day that the human race lost, because they almost did it. They maneuvered themselves into position. They accrued the wealth that was necessary. They had the resources, but hubris. Hubris is a bitch. And so then again, the Illuminati, initiates of the same lineage of light and knowledge and truth, and there's a theme in the story that a lot of people miss, especially conspiracy theorists. The Templars were burned alive. The Illuminati were arrested and imprisoned. Does that sound like they worked for the state? You know what I mean? Explain their fate to me. If they weren't subversive. And so I'm going to keep it kind of brief tonight, because I'm going to do the music stream. I keep putting it off, and I'm going to make myself do it tomorrow. And, it just feels like I'm never quite ready. But yeah, I got to put the little polishing touches on it tonight. Drank a little bit of mushroom tea, in case you're wondering why I seem a little bit more interesting than usual. What was I saying, though? It's important. Oh, by the way, I have a new video coming out, and I'm really happy with it. I made a bunch of AI animations, and I think it's super cool. So keep your eyes out for that. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. If you're not a patron, become a patron. I just started putting premium content on Substack that is for paid only subscribers. It's $8 a month. It's not a lot. $80 a year and $240 for Illuminatus tier, which comes with consultations and all sorts of other perks, premium content that's not available to the regular premium people and whatnot. So you should run over to Substack and subscribe to that. Also, we have room at our event in late July through the middle of August, and then we have some space still for the jungle trip in November. So, as I was saying, these men failed in their attempts at revolution. I mean, they didn't fail exactly because the spark never totally went out. You know, I don't believe that the Illuminati really disappeared. I also don't believe they're evil, obviously. I think that if they didn't succeed to some degree, it would have been over for freedom and liberty and justice a long time ago. Right? But if you look around yourself in the United States right now, you will notice totalitarianism is taking root and it is spreading with incredible speed. And some of the people in the United States are so brainwashed and so indoctrinated, they're literally cheering it on. It's an absolute nightmare. And so we have to act with urgency, with calm, with deliberate, measured, guided by reason, balanced by justice. Our path lit. With divine light. We are avatars of the fire and the light. You are gods. Act like it. In the coming months, there is going to be turbulence. There's going to be tragedy. There's going to be destruction. But if you remember the old myth of Osiris and Horus, well, and Isis too, he was not saved from death by Isis. He was dismembered, torn to pieces, and scattered around the globe. Isis, who is an avatar of Sirius, which represents higher consciousness, came and reassembled his body. But not until after she had impregnated herself with the crowned and conquering child, Horus, Lord of the New Aeon. And it's not until Horus, the child, had integrated his eyesight with the resurrected Osiris that the old ethos of the empire was elevated. Because as a bird of prey, Horus could see the big picture from far above the empire. And it is a daunting situation. It seems sometimes bleak and hopeless. The machine is so powerful and sophisticated. It's almost omniscient and omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. But in reality, it's just a handful of misguided old fucks, and their death is imminent. A new world is just as likely as an old one. You got here late. I got here late too. Yeah, it's a fucking mess up there, man. It really is, and it's gonna get uglier, I think. You know, but there are good things happening. There are lots of beautiful things happening in the world. There is a new consciousness emerging. It's not really a new consciousness because it's as old as time. We could even just call it a clear consciousness. You can only hide the obvious for so long. And this dead, deterministic, random, meaningless universe is a construct of men. And it was engineered for the purpose that it has served. Man had the truth and found error, but he didn't just find error. It was inculcated upon him. It was forced. It was forced into him. Us, women too. You know, through tremendous effort. But the veil is disintegrating, falling away, and it's no coincidence that the overlords are putting their totalitarian efforts into overdrive simultaneously. I don't know that it's exactly a reaction either. I think that these things are sort of emergent characteristics or properties of existence, you know, that it's all part of this fractal pattern that has these juxtaposed opposites in perfect balance. So at the moment of humanity's greatest potential, we have the greatest existential threat that we've ever experienced. Even the speed at which everything's moving makes like a formulaic kind of sense in the context of all this. The momentum, the pressure, the trajectory, you know, however you want to phrase it. It's all part of a fractal, self similar, recursive, holographic pattern. And it cannot generate without that perfect opposition. So it's interesting that it's, Independence Day, because it's really the moment where we have to decide, are we going to declare our sovereignty? Are we going to retract our loyalties and our hopes from flags and leaders and take that responsibility onto ourselves to lead ourselves, to find the answers to life's great questions for ourselves? To make decisions for ourselves and our family for ourselves, by ourselves, to educate ourselves on our initiative according to our ingenium, our own disposition, our own inclinations. Sovereign nation is almost like military intelligence. Two words combined that just can't make sense. Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati, was apparently kind of a dick. He was a little bit of a totalitarian nut. Not that he was like into fascism, but I guess as the order grew, he got a bit dogmatic. But his general sense of what needed to happen was correct. Religions wiped from the face of the planet. Borders gone. Nations gone. Kings gone. Priests gone. And the mysteries that were kept secret in Babylonia and Syria and Egypt, Greece, disseminated globally. And people ask, why didn't they do that back then? They did. They tried. And look what happened. The Templars were burned alive. Adam Weishaupt was arrested and imprisoned. They couldn't, because it risked losing that current entirely. And so I believe what's happening in this moment is that sort of initiated perspective is emerging in the collective. And that's really the only way that it could be done, where it can't be stopped. Something that I've been expecting since I was a child, because I reasoned that illumination generally comes from wisdom and experience, and the macrocosm microcosm concept, that if it happened to an individual given enough time and experience, then it must also happen to generations, or across generations, unfortunately. But it will happen. The questions that I was asking that seemed so revolutionary to other people, to me, just seemed, it was incredible that people thought it was unusual. I was so young when I looked around and thought, you're only Christian because you're born in the southern United States. If you were in India, you'd be, Hindu or something, which means none of these religions are correct. And I didn't understand, like, how is it that other people don't, like, it's just so easy. This is like just so simple and easy. My mom went to vote once when I was like 8 or something, and I remember sitting in the car and thinking, does she really think it's real? It's just foolish to think that these people would allow the common person to choose a leader that would be responsible for their destiny and fortune, their prosperity. They despise common people. Why in the hell would they let them choose leaders? And as a little child, I guess I realized, if I'm already noticing all of this, there's no fucking way that everyone else isn't going to figure it out relatively quickly. And yet here we are. Sorry, I was reading the chat. I didn't turn the camera on tonight because I realized I've been playing guitar for hours, and I picked up the guitar right before I was going to take a shower, and then I realized I hadn't taken a shower, and I was like, ugh, I don't have time to take a shower, and I don't want the camera on, so I'll just use my alien avatars. And that way, I can just be grungy and not self conscious about it. I'm one of those people that just I have to shower every day or else I feel disgusting. And I still will shower after the stream, but got so wrapped up in what I was doing that I forgot to shower. So where was I? It's all so evident, really. It's blown my mind over the last couple of months because I really to a degree allowed society to use institutionalized gaslighting basically to make me question myself my entire life. And no matter how remarkable it got, I had a lot of extraordinary experiences. I really still do, but it does not of the magnitude and consistency that I did back in the day. At any rate, it's like I knew that I wasn't wrong, but it also seems so arrogant. And people would say that to me, like, oh, you think everyone's wrong, you narcissist, like, and or idiot, or some combination of those things. And it did make sense that how could it possibly be true that all of these brilliant minds in science and science, I guess, philosophy as well, uh, could have actually overlooked all of the things I'm seeing that to me appear to be like gaping holes in the ontological model, the accepted, institutionally approved ontological model. How could that possibly be? And then over the last couple of years, I've discovered that those holes actually were there. And it's eerie. It's a lot of things. Watching suddenly all of these academics and intellectuals and scientists and stuff, like, wait a minute, nature couldn't actually be blind and random. There's got to be some sort of, teleology is a thing, and we start hearing physicists say things like as above, so below, and, and I have such mixed emotions about watching that happen after an entire lifetime of gaslighting, really. And it's a funny thing because all things are a double edged sword. right? So it's like, is it terrifying or is it reassuring that these things are so easily observable? You know, all of the falsehoods and distortions and corruptions of truth that we take for granted as facts. The fact that people have managed to live for decades staring all of this stuff in the face and not see it is definitely terrifying. But the fact that it's so easy to see is reassuring. There is always hope. Every silver lining also has a touch of gray, I suppose. You guys want a little prediction? I don't know if this is a matter of like conspiracy, if it's deliberate or not. Um, but I noticed that the all of the New World Order milestones have happened at the peak of a solar cycle. 2001, September 11th, and 11, right? And the solar cycles are 11 years. That's why it's the number of magical expansion. Um, the New World Order commencement speech was given. Oh, wait, that's 1990, actually, yeah. September 11th, 1990. And then the next one was 2001. The 9/11, the planes hit the 11, the two ones, you know? I mean, it's ridiculous. So my bet is that when the solar maximum hits its peak, which it's arguable, but for some reason I have a feeling July 11th is going to see some serious shit. Mark your calendars, kids. I'll be surprised if that day comes and goes. Shit, it's only 7 days away, isn't it? I'll be surprised if it comes and goes eventless. And this time, by the way, it's a 13-year cycle, I guess. Let's see. It's longer, maybe. Yeah, this one has been, and this is interesting too. This solar cycle has been unusually long and intense. The sun has done things we've never observed it do before. I follow this. He's not an astrophysicist. He's a something crazy like that though, like a geophysicist or something. Some weird niche scientist, you know. Um, and he was really flipping out a couple weeks ago because the sun had done something that indicated to him at least that maybe it was about to destroy us all. You know, like it was going nuclear. And I can't imagine for a second that there's no correspondence between the intensity of the sun's activity and what happens here on Earth. What are you but my reflection? Who am I to judge or strike you down with a solar flare? All right, let's see what's going on here. This is ascending. It will be both most favorable and most unfavorable times. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. The best thing that we can do right now is, you know, maintain clarity, develop our intuitive skills, stay away from negative energy, clean your life up. If there are parasitical entities in the forms of shitty humans in your life, then remove them immediately. You know, do not um, succumb to vice. Do not succumb to fear. Listen with your whole being. And when the moment comes to act, you will know what to do. Man, I really wish this AI generator, it's been going all day. Like if I stop it, I'll lose my image, my video. But it's at like 3,200 seconds now or something all day long. And it's the last clip in this video that I wish I could play right now, but it's not finished because the stupid AI thing is taking all day. Bastard. But I wanted to find this. I just read it the other day in a stream, but it seems like the perfect sentiment for this moment. Independence Day from institutions of all manner and magnitude. He who affirms evil creates or makes the devil. That's not what I was looking for, by the way. Still hunting. Okay, almost there. The art of poisoning the reason. Strange confidence from the Martius. Magnetic breathings. Somewhere. All right, I think I found it now. This is the best advice you'll ever get. It's the only advice you really need. To preserve ourselves against evil influences, the first condition is therefore to forbid excitement to the imagination. All those who are prone to excitement are more or less mad, and a maniac is ever governed by his mania. Place yourself above fear and vague desires. Believe in supreme wisdom, and be assured that this wisdom, having given you understanding as the means of knowledge, cannot seek to lay snares for your intelligence or reason. Everywhere about you, you behold effects proportioned to their causes. You find causes directed and modified in the domain of humanity by understanding. In a word, you find goodness stronger and more respected than evil. Why should you assume an immense unreason in the infinite, seeing that there is reason in the finite? Truth is hidden from no one. God is visible in his works, and he requires nothing contrary to its nature for any being. For he is himself the author of that nature. Faith is confidence. Have confidence, not in men who malign reason, for they are fools and impostors, but in the eternal reason, which is the divine word, the true light, which is offered like the sun to the intuition of every human creature coming into this world. If you believe in absolute reason, and if you desire truth and justice before all things, you will have no occasion to fear anyone, and you will love those only who are deserving of love. Your natural light will repel instinctively that of the wicked, because it will be ruled by your will. Fool. That's what's up. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's trippy. I just looked at the screen for the first time. Really does kind of look like DMT simulation, like accurate. It's nice. Miracles are the natural effects of exceptional causes. The immediate action of the human will upon the body, or at least that action exercised without visible means, constitutes a miracle in the physical order. The influence exercised upon wills or intelligence, either suddenly or within a given time, and capable of subjugating thoughts, changing the most determined resolutions, paralyzing the most violent passions. This influence constitutes a miracle in the moral order. The common error concerning miracles is to regard them as effects without causes, contradictions of nature, sudden vagaries of the divine mind, not seeing that a single miracle of this class would destroy the entire universe and reduce it to chaos. There are miracles which are impossible even for God, namely those which involve absurdity. Could God be absurd for one instant, neither himself nor the world would be in existence the moment following. To expect from the divine arbiter an effect having a disproportionate cause, or even no cause at all, is what is called tempting God. It is casting oneself into the void. God operates by his works. In heaven, by angels, and on earth, by men. Hence, in the circle of angelic action, the angels can perform all that is possible for God, and in the human circle of action, men can dispose equally of divine omnipotence. In the heaven of human conceptions, it is humanity which creates God, and men think that God has made them in his image because they have made him in theirs. The domain of man is all corporeal and visible nature on earth, and if he cannot rule suns and stars, he can at least calculate their motion, compute their distances, and identify his will with their influence. He can modify the atmosphere, act up to a certain point upon the seasons, heal or harm his neighbors, preserve life, and inflict death. The conservation of life, including resurrection in certain cases, as already established. The absolute and reason and volition is the greatest power which can be given any man to attain, and it is by means of this power that he performs what astonishes the multitude under the name of miracles. The most perfect purity of intention is the most potent manifestation of thaumaturgic magic, and in the next place, a favorable current and unlimited confidence. The man who has come to fear nothing and desire nothing is master of all. When the wise man says, I will, it is God himself who wills, and all that he commands take place. This is the attitude that we must adopt in the face of our current predicament. Precariously perched upon the precipice, precariously perched on the precipice, pondering the preposterous proposition prepared for us by Providence. We must decide, can we? Should we? The entire power of the occultist is in the conscience of his will. So I think that about does it, guys. I really just wanted to pop on and encourage everyone to embrace their sovereignty, to seek to justify it in their actions, thoughts, and deeds. To live in accordance and in the service of one's true purpose is the only satisfying existence. If you consider the possibility that we are actually moving towards a fully illuminated humanity, it makes absolute sense that as children, we did not have complete sovereignty. And the lessons that we have been taught seem abominably cruel and absurd. But if we are ultimately to wield great power, guided by only our conscience and limited only by our imagination, human history is a fit crucible to forge the sword of reason that we must skillfully yield if we are to attain the crown. Thank you for spending this time with me. Please hit the like button.